Hello, welcome to our second in this series on APA style. Today I'm going to talk to you briefly about how to put together your introduction section. So in the previous video I talked about some general tips for writing an APA style. Today I want to talk about how we do this with the introduction section. The purpose of your introduction section is to set up your experiment. Explain what motivates it, where it's coming from, and how it kind of is arising from the literature. That is, how it's based on previous literature, what theoretical basis it has, etc. So the main thing to realize with your introduction section is you're going to start a little bit more broadly and then get straight down to your hypothesis. So essentially the idea is you're funneling your readers from a broad area down to your specific hypothesis within that area. So what I thought I would do then is just show you a manuscript from one of my published papers and what it looks like. And we can talk a little bit about how this is put together. So the first thing to realize with your introduction section is the very first thing is your title, centered. Okay? All APA style papers are 1-inch margins all the way around, double spaced, 10 to 12-inch font. The only time you don't have a section header is for your introduction, where you repeat the title. Now, this particular study was on tobacco or nicotine withdrawal and sex differences in memory. So what this does is it introduces the topic. So we have moderate to heavy smokers experience significant declines in memory performance, and then a citation. Anytime you make a claim, a factual claim about studies, about an effect, you have to have some sort of research backing that up. And so here we have those studies backing that up. So in this particular study, we're talking about sex differences and cognitive effects of tobacco abstinence. So we start with declines in memory or episodic memory performance, sex differences and the psychological effects of tobacco abstinence, extensive literature demonstrating sex differences in memory and other cognitive processes. And then finally, and this is usually in that introductory section, we point out the hole in the research, in this very first paragraph, the hole in the research that this particular research study is intending to fill. So there's been little research examining whether male and female smokers show differential patterns of episodic memory functioning following tobacco abstinence. Now we lay out the evidence for why we think this is an important study. So we start broadly, so episodic memory and tobacco abstinence. So I review that work. Then, okay, why are there sex differences in episodic memory? Explain why that is. And then finally, and this is a very short introduction section, and so your instructor may require a little bit longer, but in this particular paper, we only had 4,000 words to do the entire article, not including references. So you can see down here, the whole thing is just 4,500 words, including those references. So here, this is that final paragraph, and this is one of the most critical parts of this kind of the introduction section. So to explore whether there are sex differences in episodic memory during tobacco abstinence, we conducted a pilot study in which moderate to heavy smokers were tested after a day of normal tobacco use or following 24 hours of abstinence. They were tested utilizing standard recognition memory, that has been successful in detecting effects of tobacco abstinence, included a standard manipulation of episodic memory encoding, and tests of passive memory and short-term memory and working memory were also included as control tasks. So this sets up what the study is, and while in this particular case this was an exploratory pilot study, this is where you would put your specific hypothesis. So if this were a follow-up study if I were doing a follow-up study to this study, I would say based on previous research, we expect the following in this. But this is where you set up a little bit about what you did and then give some kind of prediction, or at least say this is why we've done this particular pilot study. And that's that last paragraph where you end narrowly. So that is a quick and easy introduction to the introduction section. Note that it comes following the abstract. In this case, there were some disclosures and acknowledgments, the abstract, and of course, the title page starts first. And of course, in APA style, page numbers on every page. In this case, there was no page header required by this particular journal. And then we move on to the methods section, which is actually much longer than even the introduction section, which happens quite a bit. This is a pretty extensive method. Results section for each of our tasks, and then the discussion sections. I'll talk about each of those sections in further study, or in further videos. All right, thanks a lot. Everyone have a great day.